This is I Go Travel with Don Barnett. This video takes place in northern British Columbia, right in this black line area here. And southern British Columbia is considered from, let's say, the Yellowhead Highway or the Transcanada Highway south to the American border, a much smaller geographic area. But this video, again, takes part in what is generally regarded as northern British Columbia. More specifically, we took a trip north up this way to Quesnel and over to the gold mine town of Barkerville. And instead of coming back that same way, we decided to take the backcountry roads, the Forest Service roads, and we dropped south of Barkerville down to a town called Likely and over to Horsefly. Got lost along the way, but we saw some terrific country. You're along the shadow of the Cariboo Mountains. Great country, big lake country. Come on, let's drive. We were up at Barkerville here, and instead of retracing our steps on the paved highway back to Quesnel and then south, we decided to take the back road. Somebody said it was only a 2 or 3 hour drive down to Likely and the small community of Horsefly. That's true, provided you didn't get lost. I believe we were lost right away. Somehow we took either a road up further north and swung around this way. I'm just not sure. I can't tell you. But beware of those back roads. They are not marked. There are very few signs that are meaningful to a tourist like you and me. Those signs are for logging trucks and companies that work back in the back country. We had a good rig, a full tank of gas. We had some food, some water, even a place to sleep. And we were only going to be gone a couple of hours. There was no thought of a breakdown or getting lost or bad weather. We never even saw those thick clouds back up in the sky there. Our eyes were on the ground and the good scenery. Those are the Cariboo Mountains in the distance. They're beauties, but we didn't see much of them once the clouds set in. But we just saw the sunshine on the road ahead. Hard-packed road. And once in a while, we were in civilization, we knew, because these logging trucks every once in a while. And I just pulled over and stopped and let them roll by. They have radio communication, and they talk to each other, and they know where we're at. The bridges like this one here were the bigger ones. They were meant for those big log hauling heavy trucks, so I had no fear of them. We passed through some beautiful kinds of wilderness country. I don't even know the names of some of the rivers and creeks that we passed over. But it was a kind of road that it wasn't paved, and you were indeed in the back country. I'll bet there's some good fishing in some of these streams. We didn't seem to get any closer to the Cariboo Mountains, but we were headed their way. I noticed the road seemed a little narrower and a little more grass on that growing along the sides. But there was a sign there, so we're still in civilization. Here we're coming up to one of these little bridges. They made me nervous. I hope they were strong enough to hold our rig, but they always did. But I kind of sped up when I could, just to get over them. And we kept marveling at the beautiful scenery up in the berry country, where the bears pick the berries in the fall. This is fireweed in here. We were just enjoying this drive and glad that we had taken it. We really felt we were in the backcountry, the high country. There on the right you can see where they have timbered, logged off the forest there for lumber. But and here were some more evidence of lumbering. Nobody was around, but somebody had been here at once upon a time, so that made us feel a little bit better. We weren't completely isolated, but I repeat, there was nobody around. Yes, seems we're getting closer to the Cariboo Mountains there. Beautiful rugged. Say, is that snow up on the top of those mountains? Well, wait, what? We got a little bit of rainfall here. What's it doing raining? You can't see the Cariboo Mountains very well. More rain. We ran into some good showers. As you could tell by the road, there were puddles on it. But you know about these mountain roads, they seem to be hard-packed. It's not like in the prairies where you get stuck up to the axles in mud. But these were hard-packed. More evidence of timber that had been piled up, probably to be burned once the snowfall came and covered the ground. But look should we be down that road there? I'm not sure. We're on this road here. Are we even going the right direction? There were some signs here. Those numbers must call. 843172. Those numbers mean kilometers from somewhere to somewhere. Maybe from the clear-cut area on the mountainside back to a sawmill somewhere. But those numbers were meant for the truckers and the trucking, the log hauling companies. They weren't designed for people like tourists, like you and me. We were lost, but we came upon this thing here, a machine working, and up in the far right-hand corner, the guy was working. I waved and walked up there. He finally saw me, shut off his machine, and jumped from the cab down onto the ground and started wading waist-high through that brush that you can see between his machine and the drop-off down to the road. I yelled, "Don't come down here, I'm lost." But he wisely ignored me and slid on his bum down the steep part and onto the road. He asked me where I was going, and I told him I was headed south toward Likely and the little town of Horsefly. He said, "Oh, you're going the wrong direction. You have to turn around." So how do you turn a motorhome around on a narrow road like this? I got my wife out at the back, and I told her when my wheels get near about a meter from that's a cliff on the left-hand side, about a meter from the edge of the road, to have me stop. I could not begin to turn around as she was yelling stop before I could even get crosswise in the road. I told her to watch where the wheels were, not the back bumper of the motorhome. Let the back end hang over the cliff, but have me stop when the wheels got within, say, a meter from the edge of the road. After that, I was able to wiggle back and forth to get the rig finally turned around. Before I left, I took a picture of the guy working his machine and marveled at the effectiveness of modern hydraulic power. This machine can cut the trees. Watch it strip the branches in a second and pile the log in a new position. There is also a powerful electric saw attached to the tongs on the crane that quickly saws the logs to proper length. In a matter of a minute or so, the tree is cut to length, stripped of all branches, and placed in a pile ready to be hauled away by one of those big log hauling trucks. I was watching modern forestry at work, something that you won't see if you stay on the paved highways. When I finally got turned around, another camper came by, and he said he was going to Ghost Lake. So I said I'd follow him. And I followed him for several kilometers, and he finally stopped on the road and said that according to his map, we should be turning off this road here to find the Ghost Lake. But there was, again, no signs whatsoever of this big lake that everybody seemed to know about. But that's the backcountry of British Columbia in the mountains. It seemed like more than 5 kilometers to me, but the road was pretty rough. And we were going downhill, so downhill must be where the water and lake is at. Finally, we arrived. It was a small campground, only 3 spaces for RVs. We parked in the turnaround area for the night. Later on, we walked a short trail down to the edge of the lake. The trail down to the lake got pretty rough indeed. Big boulders we had to clamber over and deadfall here and there. But finally we made it. We were told that it was very good fishing in the lake, but keep your fishing over to the left there, at that left end of the lake. But don't try fishing down at the right end. Why not, you ask? Well, here's why. I guess the fish are too busy worried about surviving instead of biting hooks. Some of those rocks are pretty slippery too. You slip into that water and you'll be begging the fish for help. It rained all night and we left early next morning. These mountain roads are not soft mud like you get on the prairies, but and that's where you sink up to your axles and get stuck. But these mountain roads seem to be rock hard on the bottom. They get they can get a bit slippery in places, but even mud holes or water pools in the road seem to have hard, solid bottoms. Nevertheless, we crawled for several hours, hoping to see the road get better or wider or more well-traveled, but nothing of the same. The green grass on the edges seemed to be getting thicker and higher, but we had no choice other than to keep trucking on. Even the bridges seemed to look a little bit different in all of this rain, but they were still good, solid bridges, and we were hoping that we were coming to some community like the community of Likely down the road. But it didn't look too good right in here. Come to think of it, I hadn't seen any logging trucks for quite some time. They were probably too smart to be out in weather like this, and maybe too smart to even be on roads like this. We crossed over several small bridges, but this was a big one. I don't know the name of the river, but the rain had stopped pretty well, and the road seemed to be a little smoother and a little wider, or maybe it was just my imagination. But no, sir, we seemed to be in a little bit better road. Hey, a cattle gate, that's a good sign. Maybe we're coming into civilization. And here's a guy on a motorbike. It's a logging truck. We're into civilization now. Looks like another logging truck parked up here. Looks like the driver is checking his load. Yes, sir, at last. We're in the town of Likely, BC. This is a map that shows where we started our trip at Wells in Barkerville and came down here somewhere down into the, eventually to the community of Likely. And Likely is the location of the Mount Polly mine that we'll tell you about. The lake claims to be one of the deepest fjord lakes in the world. The area has a unique inland temperate rainforest. The 511 meter deep lake is the deepest in BC and third deepest in North America, behind only the deepest, which is Great Slave Lake in the Northwest Territories and Crater Lake in the U.S. Gold was also found in this area during the famed Barkerville gold rush days in the 1800s. The nearby Mount Polly mine, open pit mine, opened in 1964 and had a major tailings dam failure in 2014 that polluted the whole area. The mine company was not found a single penny in penalty, but was asked by the government and agreed to then clean up the widespread pollution mess as well as it could. It is regarded as the worst environmental mine disaster in Canadian history. Today, the pollution effects remain, and the mine charges on to greater heights in copper mining. We'll go from Likely on down a road to Horsefly. Little bit of cattle along the way, small farming operations here, mostly hay growing. And as we started off from Likely, the road seemed to follow a series of shallow lakes like this one here. And as we got closer to Horsefly, the lakes seemed to kind of have dried up, and people farmed in some of the lower areas. Again, good for growing hay. And small farm operations have been in this area since the turn of the 20th century. And where they've cleared the land, it's nice and flat, and they've built up their family farms, family-level farms. You can see the road is not a paved road, but it is a hard-packed dirt road and a good road. Here the countryside is opening up a little bit more. There's some signs of some irrigation machinery there along that field. But I'm sure this place gets ample rain at times too. Small farm operations, like I said, and a few more cattle and some more horses. There was no fence line between the fields and the road. Here again, the countryside is opening up. The lakes are behind us, and as we approach Horsefly, we're getting into this kind of more open farm type country. We saw several of these signs as we traveled around the country about the cow moose. This is big game country. These big lakes in the Likely Horsefly area were carved out by glaciers, and that ice from the glaciers ground up the rock into a fine powder. So the bottom of this lake, Horsefly Lake, for example, it is not a rocky bottom down there below the water. It is nice, soft, silty, ground up, powder level rock. And that's the nature of these kind of lakes in this country here. The community of Horsefly has been around a long time. Here's City Hall, made of a log building. You know, I always wanted to go to Horsefly. I was down around in Mexico, in the Baja, and I met a fella, and he said he was from Horsefly. And I said, where is Horsefly? Well, he told me, and We spent a few days on the beach down there, and he said, come on up to Horsefly. Everybody knows me there in town. It's a small town, and come on up and see me. And I said, you can count on it. I'll be there. Well, I'm in Horsefly. And they told me the fella several years later, since I met him, they told me in town here that he had passed away last summer. And maybe it goes to the point that maybe we shouldn't wait too long to go and see people before they pass away. I've known relatives who show up at a funeral, and their kinfolk had wished they had come by for several years, and they never came by. But they did show up at the funeral to show their respect, I guess. But all they're doing, in my opinion, is they're appeasing their guilt feelings for not showing up sooner. It's too late at the funeral to show your respects. The person has gone. So maybe a guy should get on a saddle horse and ride over and see people while they're still alive. Anyway, that's the story of what happened to me about Horsefly. But I'm still happy to be here. It's a nice little community. Horsefly used to be called Harper's Camp, but some Americans in the area did not like the idea that they lived in a camp. So the name was eventually changed to Horsefly. Gold was first discovered here that ended up in the boomtown of Barkerville to the north. This is the Horsefly River, where she all started, in the little town of Horsefly. There was a fellow that was polishing his rocks all the time, little tiny rocks. And this Indian fella said, hey, white man, why are you always sitting around polishing those rocks? And the white guy said, well, I like the color inside. See, look at the color when I scrape the dirt and stuff away. It's a gold color. And the Indian fella said, well, you know, that's pretty hard hanging on to those rocks. They're so tiny. I can show you some rocks that are way bigger than that, and you can scrape them and get your gold color too. And the white fella said, is that so? And where might those rocks be at? Well, the Indian fella said, well, let's jump in the canoe tomorrow morning. I'll take you down the Horsefly, and I'll show you lots of those kind of rocks, and you can polish till your heart's content. And that is what started off the largest and biggest and greatest gold rush in British Columbia history. I always like to stop at a museum. They have a nice little one in Horsefly. You learn so much more about a place. Horsefly has been here a long time. This is the bridge over the Horsefly River right in the community of Horsefly. Like other BC communities, Horsefly has been concerned about fish stocks in the streams. The Horsefly River is a prime salmon egg-laying habitat. Billboards along the river point out both the importance of fish stocks and the concern the community has about the declining quality of both the water and the gravel beds for laying eggs. People have noticed a decrease in the water quality caused by silt and pollution in the water, a decrease in water flow, and a continual pressure from fishing or harvesting the fish. This is one of the gravel beds that is ideal for fish to deposit their eggs in. This is another view of Horsefly Lake, and it is another area in the great outdoors where we need greater stewardship if we are able to continue enjoying the great outdoors. Hit the subscribe button, and that will tell you when we're putting more videos on the internet. In the meantime, if you want to see some more videos of travels we've made, just like it says in the bottom there, Google my name, Don Barnett 5090, and then click on my name, hit the word playlists, and scroll down. Each playlist contains several travel videos.